The circus is in town, and so is Pee-wee Herman in Big Top Pee-wee. Released in 1988, Pee-wee, played by Paul Reubens, returns for his second theatrical outing as the funny, hyperactive man-child Pee-wee Herman, where this time Pee-wee is a farmer, and after a storm, he finds the circus has arrived in his backyard. Pee-wee really wants to join the circus and prove that he can be a great circus performer, while also finding romance with the circus's main performer, Gina, played by Valeria Golino. However, Pee-wee must face the wrath of the old, angry townspeople who want the circus banished and out of their town, in this quirky and often forgotten about Pee-wee Herman adventure. So today, to pay our respects to Paul Reubens, we're going to explore what I personally consider to be a very underrated Pee-wee movie, as we look into 10 things that you didn't know about Big Top Pee-wee. So let's check it out before I start throwing sandwiches. So let's do this! Number 10. Sort of a sequel, but kind of its own thing. Despite the fact that Big Top Pee-wee is the second Pee-wee Herman movie, it isn't really a sequel per se. The first movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, was released in 1985 and was directed by Tim Burton, where it would become a surprise hit and would go on to make over $40 million in the US alone on a $7 million budget, where Pee-wee Herman became a hugely celebrated character. However, Pee-wee's Big Adventure was produced by Warner Brothers, and Big Top Pee-wee was produced by Paramount Pictures. Furthermore, none of the events of Pee-wee's Big Adventure have anything to do with Big Top Pee-wee. It's almost as if this is a different Pee-wee universe, or as I like to call it, a Hermanverse. Well, what happened is Pee-wee's Big Adventure and the Pee-wee TV series Pee-wee's Playhouse were very successful. So Paramount were like, yep, I wouldn't mind a piece of this Pee-wee pie. So Paramount made a deal with Pee-wee's star Paul Reubens to write and star in a variety of Pee-wee movies and other projects. So if anything, Big Top Pee-wee was more the start of a new film series. There were apparently even supposedly attempts to connect this movie to Pee-wee's Big Adventure by toying with a subplot that after the Pee-wee movie within a movie starring James Brolin, as seen in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Pee-wee had become a huge star with women constantly flocking over him, where he became a singer who sings like Frank Sinatra, and thus the price of fame was too much, so he fled to a small community and became a farmer. So the big question is, if Big Top Pee-wee isn't a sequel, then what exactly is it? Well, simply put, it's another movie featuring the Pee-wee Herman character without being connected to the first movie. But look, it's really not that complicated. It's Pee-wee Herman. This isn't Inception. So it's best to just not dwell on it too much and just sit back and enjoy the ride. Number 9. Talent on Board. The first Pee-wee movie was written by Paul Reubens naturally, as well as comedian and actor Phil Hartman, and scriptwriter Michael Varhol. Hartman and Varhol didn't return for Big Top Pee-wee, something that I think some people felt hurt the movie. This time the script was written by Reubens again, and George McGrath, who actually wrote for the Pee-wee Playhouse TV series. There apparently were attempts to get Tim Burton back as director, but at that stage he was just way too busy working on Batman. So Big Top Pee-wee was directed by Randall Kleiser, who previously directed the musical Grease, which, like Big Top Pee-wee, was also a Paramount production, hence his t-shirt. And Big Top Pee-wee was co-produced by Deborah Hill, who produced Halloween. Yep, if you thought Big Top Pee-wee wasn't random enough, what with the talking pig, it was directed by the guy who gave us Grease and the producer who gave us Halloween. I mean, is it a prerequisite for working on this movie that you had to have made a big film in 1978? Number 8. The trailer was made before the movie. Back in the day when movie fans rented out Beverly Hills Cop 2 from their local video stores and popped those tapes in their video players, they would have been greeted by Pee-wee himself, talking about his upcoming movie, Big Top Pee-wee, where he subsequently gets fired out of a cannon. This is a rare promotional teaser trailer, which was actually filmed 1 month before the initial filming started, making this sort of lost media, or be that an extended deleted scene. And in this short segment, they really wanted it to hit home and to have it out there that this is a Paramount Pictures production. Not only does Pee-wee himself refer to it as a Paramount picture, but he's even wearing a hat with the Paramount Pictures logo. Yep, none of that Warner Brothers nonsense around here. The trailer also features Vance the pig, but he doesn't say anything, suggesting that they hadn't yet figured out his voice. Number 7. Pee-wee filming. The shoot for Big Top Pee-wee mainly took part around California, with most of the filming being filmed at Disney's Golden Oak Ranch in U-Haul, as well as additional scenes being filmed at a high school auditorium in Santa Clarita. The circus tents that were used were tents that belonged to a defunct circus brand called Dwayne Bros Circus. This particular circus started in the 40s, but it ended in the 70s due to the rising cost of gas, where the company became a tent for hire business. And according to IMDb, the tents that were used in Big Top Pee-wee were previously used in an episode of Murder, She Wrote, called Death Stalks the Big Top in 1986. A Pee-wee Herman and Murder, She Wrote crossover. Yeah, that would have been brilliant. Number 6. Pee-wee's co-star is a bit of a pig. So in Big Top Pee-wee, Pee-wee has a sidekick in the form of a talking pig called Vance. Yep, a whole 7 years before the release of Babe, the production of Big Top Pee-wee were already getting on board with the talking pig trope. And although Pee-wee and his pig co-star may have appeared to have a great bromance on screen, behind the cameras it was supposedly anything but, as that pig did not like his funny man co-star. According to TVTropes.org, the pig didn't like being cradled on its back, and in one scene where Rubens tried to do this, the pig completely freaked out and started to panic and was flailing about all over the place, which caused Rubens to suffer some pretty nasty bruises. So we can only hope that after this misunderstanding, that Rubens and the pig were once again on speaking terms and able to put aside their differences for the rest of the filming. Despite the conflict though, Rubens and that pig did have amazing on-screen chemistry. And at the time of the movie's release, kids could buy their very own Vance plushie, which of course, just like the movie, it talked. But with this one you had to pull a string. Number 5. Cast. This time, Pee-wee doesn't just have one leading lady, but two, proving himself to be quite the ladies' man. Penelope Ann Miller played the town's school teacher and Pee-wee's fiancée, Winnie. There's just something about her that creeped me out as a kid. It's like she was really unhinged and slightly crazy, but ultimately really funny. A few years later, Miller would once again play a teacher in Kindergarten Cop. Valeria Golino played Pee-wee's love interest, Gina. This was my introduction to Golina, and even though I was a kid, I found her to be absolutely delicious. Oh man, I was in love with this lady. Benicio del Toro starred as Duke in his first movie role, and apparently while filming Big Top Pee-wee, del Toro and Golino started a romance, which actually lasted several years. Lucky del Toro, I say. Kevin Peter Hall played Big John. He is best known for starring as both Harry from Harry and the Hendersons and the alien Predator from Predator. Country singer Chris Christopherson starred as Mace Montana, and he's probably more well known to modern viewers for starring in the Blade movies. And a young pre-Saved by the Bell Dusty Diamond starred as Deke, not to be confused with Deke. Paul Rubens' parents, Milton and Judy Rubenfeld, also starred as two of the townsfolk people, Herman and Honey. Number 4. Paul Rubens is a man of many talents. So the movie starts off with a dream sequence, where we see Pee-wee singing at a concert to a heap of screaming fans, where he sings a song called Girl on the Flying Trapeze, of which sounds like a real Frank Sinatra song. Well, contrary to popular belief, that was actually Paul Reubens himself singing the song, and wow! It just goes to show what an amazing singer he truly was. And it is honestly really bizarre seeing Pee-wee Herman with a Frank Sinatra sounding voice coming out of his mouth. It looks really weird, or sounds weird, or whatever. And it also goes to show that had Reubens not gotten into the movie business, he could have easily have had a musical career. And this whole idea of Pee-wee being a Frank Sinatra sounding singer with many obsessed fans goes back to that deleted idea of tying this movie to Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where Pee-wee becomes a famous singer and moves to the farm for a quiet life. And now we're going to go even further down the rabbit hole of this movie's music. Number 3, music. To somewhat give this movie a connection to the previous Pee-wee movie, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, movie music legend Danny Elfman was brought back to score this new Pee-wee adventure to hopefully recreate the sound that he made for the first Pee-wee movie several years earlier. Except he couldn't. Yep, due to legal issues, Elfman couldn't actually use any of the music that he had previously created for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's been speculated that this is because, once again, that movie was owned by Warner Brothers and Big Top Pee-wee was a Paramount Pictures production. So instead, Elfman had to make music which kind of sounded like what he had previously made, while also being its own different score. That's like bringing John Williams back to score Superman 2, but telling him that he has to compose a different Superman theme. See what I mean? It's weird. But it needn't be an issue for Elfman, as that year he was scoring another comedy movie which would become huge. Yeah, I can't quite remember its name, something about a beetle guy, and he had juice or something. Oh yeah, that's right, it was Scrooged. Number 2, poster stunt double. Now, the poster for Big Top Pee-wee always cracked me up. I mean, look at Paul Reubens' face. I swear this guy just had funny bones, where we literally see Pee-wee make leaps and bounds above the circus. Well, incidentally, that's not really Paul Reubens on the poster. Okay, that's his face, sure, but it's been photoshopped on someone else's body. That, of course, was Paul Reubens' Pee-wee stunt double and Pee-wee impersonator Jeff Scott, who actually really did look and sound a lot like Reubens. So much so, he even appeared in a Cleveland morning show as Pee-wee Herman. There was another poster put together for Big Top Pee-wee, and I can't help but feel like for this they were going for a Monty Python's Flying Circus look. Because, circus? I guess? I don't know. Number 1, Big Top Pee-wee was a flop. Okay, this might seem like a controversial opinion, and I hope it doesn't annoy anyone, but I like Big Top Pee-wee a little bit more than Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Yes, I know, I'm sorry everyone, calm down, I know. Ah! Alright, just please calm down. Alright, look, please, just hear me out. Thank you. Okay, from a movie making perspective, I actually think that Big Top Pee-wee is just as good as Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Oh boy, I'm in trouble now. So Big Top Pee-wee was released in July 1988, and it only made just over $15 million on a $20 million budget, making it a hugely disappointing flop. And it was set upon by the critics, who really tore this movie a new one, and were relentless, with it even being theorized that the movie's incredibly negative reviews may have really hurt its box office performance. Despite it not really being a sequel, it still got unfavourably compared to the first movie, with it also being shrugged off that this movie is just not as good as the previous ones, so don't bother. What didn't help is that when Big Top Pee-wee was released, it was competing against Who Framed Roger Rabbit and A Fish Called Wonder. Heck, Big Top Pee-wee even got beaten by a re-release of Bambi, a movie which at that stage was 46 years old. The movie's failure even put an end of Paramount's plans for further Pee-wee movies, with the next Pee-wee Herman movie not coming out until 2016, with the Netflix movie Pee-wee's Big Holiday. I honestly don't understand all the hate that Big Top Pee-wee tends to get. It has the usual crazy, silly, and surreal manic energy that you would expect from a Pee-wee movie, and Paul Reubens is in top form here. I can actually remember watching it on TV one evening when I was about 6 years old, and I think that I was just the right age for it, and this was my introduction to Pee-wee Herman. And just like that, I was hooked. So maybe I have a nostalgic love and bias to this movie, sure. But either way, Big Top Pee-wee is a movie that never fails to bring me joy. Honestly, give the movie another go. I promise you it won't bite. And heck, you might even like it. Anyway, I'm Minty. And rest in peace, Paul Reubens. And thank you to the many years of joy that you gave us. See ya!